name is still Alfred Becker. Uh, and I'm replacing Chelsea Ramage, so bear with me if I'm not totally informed about all details, but I'm glad to be able to announce the next presentation. Well, I come to that in a second. Let me just show you quickly if I can work through that. Is there a trick that I should know? Ah, here we go. Oh, that's probably way too much, isn't it? It seems it takes some time. Okay, I give up for the sake of time. So I'll be your host for this afternoon, and we'll talk later on which sessions you can expect in the theater. I'll introduce that after the session. So now let's come to the next session. I think data and information and insight is everything. That's in these days, that's the value that you can get out of your business processes. You can optimize. That's what really matters. So the question is, how can you achieve integrated? How can you achieve integrated processes, and how can you achieve transparency? And I think one of the building blocks for that is to have the main blocks of systems and solutions that we usually see in a company. Yeah? So whether that is warehousing or manufacturing execution or your ERP system fully integrated. And then you get all the data out of that, and then you can create nice applications based on that pool of information. And that's what I've seen from Koehler paper. So I'm very happy to announce our next three presenters, and I hope all of you will be on stage so that I provide the right information. So that's Mr. Partberg and Mr. Bruder from Koehler, and also Mr. Zöllner from Ticon. And they will give us some idea of the fully integrated system landscape of solutions at Koehler and what you can do with that. So with that, over to you, please.
Thank you. That's the other.
Welcome to the National Paper Conference.
Projection makes it interesting.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the presentation today, and the topic is stormy waters, and what means stormy waters for us at Koehler Paper, and what's the challenges we're facing, and especially in the IT department. Or to get onto the subtitle, it's the Koehler Paper sizing new opportunities in the paper industry based on integrated SAP systems. With me, I'd like to introduce my co-presentator. Myself, my name is Marco Bruder. I'm head of the IT business applications and digital solutions at Koehler. With me, there's Jörg Partberg. He's the digital coordinator for all the operations and the operating units. And it's Andreas. Sometimes he feels like one of the Koehler family, but he's from Ticon. He's supporting us with all the knowledge Ticon got, and he's orchestrating all the things we're doing with Ticon. So, okay, here we are. Just to give you a little overview of Koehler Paper, so they can know what it is. We are located in Germany. Maybe you find out how I pronounce things. And we have approximately 2,500 employees. It's around 800 million turnover, and we're obviously in the paper industry. We have a lot of products. Our biggest one is thermal papers. So pretty sure you know it, and you get it in all labeling and things like that. Mostly based on thermal papers. It's our biggest product. And we got flexible packaging. That's something we want to come into the market. It's a new market for us where we want to substitute plastic. Maybe not all of you like it, but it's okay. I think all of us get its benefit of it. And then it's carbonless paper, recycled paper, fine paper. If you're going to Las Vegas, just play cards, please. We have deco papers, coasters, and die sublimation. But in today, I don't want to tell you too much about Koehler as a company. I want to tell you about Koehler as IT and how we set up things. Today the journey is about which situation are we facing. So what makes the water heavy for us, or what's the incoming waves to us? How do we deal with it, or what's our concept of solution to deal with this situation? We have a case study where Andreas shows you just one example of what we did so far and what we could achieve with it. And the next steps, how is the future of digital transformation in Koehler, and what we want to do and how we want to do it. So let's start with which situation are we facing today. So the big waves for us as Koehler IT department is we're working in a volatile environment. Well, I would say that's just the old changes, something we all know. We're getting bigger, we're getting new facilities, we're getting new groups we have to integrate into our IT system. Today we have risks coming in. And one thing is with risk, you can't control them because you don't know it. They just take effect on a certain time and you have to react on it. We have business objectives we want to fulfill, or well, we have to fulfill, we want to work longer. And there are chances where we want to bring into our business and bring it into an advantage for our business. So here are, wait a second. Here are some examples. So for volatile environment, what's the saying? It's resilient systems. So it means our systems, all what we're building, must be resilient in terms of, let's say, data security, cyber security. They need to be resilient in terms of availability. And they have to be integrated into our process, so they need to work when you need it. Risks, we had a lot about this. So in Europe, energy crisis is a big thing. We have broken supply chains, we have a lack of specialists, we have COVID-19, and I think COVID-19, besides all the bad effects, for me in the IT, it's just an advantage. Well, what we learned during COVID is that it's okay to do that. Our people do home office. They don't sit at home and just watching TV, Netflix or whatever. You know, they're really working, right? And we prepared ourselves to give that opportunity to our people. Today I'm facing a different situation. They asked me, please let me go to the office again. I'm feeling lonely. Right? And the business objective is, okay, we have just a regular growth. It's not like, boom, this paper industry is, but it's on continuous growth and development into a bigger company. And then there are the chances. One, sustainability. We hit a lot of it, right? And for Koehler, it is a big deal. It's one of our head strategies. So let's say sustainability will be one of our top strategies as Koehler Group. And digital transformation, obviously, that's something the IT is involved in, right? So how does this affect us? The heavy water, it's not something that's just coming to us as IT department. The complete company has heavy waters, big waves coming in, just new requests, new things and changes they have to do to fulfill, let's say, customer needs and all the demands they come in. So they expect of us a shorter cycle of change. That means provide us services faster. It's just a matter of time. And if you think about external factors, then you find yourself in an unusual environment or just situations where you can't get any experience. Let's say energy shortage. In my life, it was never a topic we discussed about. Now it is here. We have to deal with it. So you can't find someone who provides you a solution, something like best practice or something like that. You have to bring it up on your own, and you have to bring it fast. So how do we deal with it, or what we did so far? Is that we try to increase our agility in the IT changes. more flexible, become faster in providing services to the business, and just to do it with more ease, I would say. It's just something you just do. You just do it. You don't think too much about it. Depends on how big projects are, how big the thing is you have to change, but sometimes it's just simple services. And the other thing we wanted to achieve is we want to overcome technical barriers. There are that many service providers and intelligent people out in the internet providing us really good software, machine learning cases and everything, and we want to achieve this and bring it into our business. So how we did it is, 5 years ago, the completely business application environment was, we had a core, SAP, ERP, and then let's name it add-ons. And no, it's not the real term for it, but let's name it add-ons. We put on. It's not, absolutely, it's not the complete thing that we could bring a BI system and or GTS system things. But what it provides to us is, with a strong core, it gives you a standard software. What's the profit of it? Well, what's the benefit? You find experts on the market, they can support you, and they help you to bring in all your processes or needed process into this core. We have a standard data description, and this is today more important than I think any time in the past, because we integrate not on an application level, we do it on a data level. And I'll tell you more about that. And you have standard processes. So what this core provides is, if you have a delivery brought to your customer, and you have booked it in the SAP system, you know every process step before has to be done right? You know that. Otherwise, you couldn't do the next step on it. And that's something SAP provides, and that's something, well, at least me, that's the point why I really like SAP, because it's, you know, in the whole process, purchase to pay, procure to pay, or order to cash, you know, these processes are really well, every sequence has done right, you are in the end of the process. The add-on, you use it to bring some more flexibility to the areas where you need it. Let's say production. You use an MES system. Why? They need just some special functions, and they want it in a way where their processes are built into the system. You want to adhere, that's why you use add-ons. What add-ons provide to you is, okay, you are able to bring some special functions, some special processes, but they are hardly tied to that process chain. So what we did then, we brought in a platform. And for us, we started with SAP HANA and then developed on SAP HANA. We had already software development skills and knowledge in our company. And after a while, it became just a platform. It's on premises, it's in the cloud parts, so we have Azure, we have Kubernetes in our company, and it's just a hybrid scenario. But this one here provides us the ability just to try services we get on the market. So we can go to Google, try a machine learning service, bring it with our data, combine it, and it's okay. But it's still integrated and manageable because of at least these standard data description. For example, material number. If you find a material number here, you will find it here, you find it here. And it's always the same material. If you have an order number here, here, and here, it's always the same order we're talking about. So the integration is on a data level. We are also able to do functions between this, so we can calculate something here with a machine learning algorithm and bring it back into this area. So that's what we've done so far, and we had an increase in agility. So we become more agile. And then one example for you is energy crisis. I think it was 4 weeks ago. It was really 2 days before my vacation, for my summer vacation. the business asked me, we need a monitoring of our gas usage. Just to monitor where do we need the gas and how much is it, what product is it in. And it took us 3 days to bring or to deploy productive monitoring, this alerting if we're getting over several thresholds of things. And 2 of these 3 days was just for the business to discuss what they really want to see. All right? And that's what you can do if you have something like this. You won't get it from scratch. It's not like you installing Kubernetes and you get it. But of course, we're collecting data here from the paper machines and from our energy center and everything. But then you are able to use these data. You will need it for machine learning because they are based and you train them on historical information. If you have it always provided and you have to match to your data, to your information from the core process, it's quite easy. So, and the next thing is, it's one example, and I really like to take over to Andreas to show you what we've done with some specific case.
So, thank you very much, Marco. Hello from my side. Like Marco gave us a short overview about the high-level architecture, what we've achieved so far, what we're doing on the system or in the system landscapes. And I've brought a short example of what capabilities the so-called Koehler platform is able to do or what comes along with it. Okay, so the case study that I wanted to show you is how we, for example, combine quality process and finance data from different sources. So we've seen this picture so far, and on this example we'll concentrate us on, of course, the stable, reusable SAP core with its standard processes, with the standard data description. They are the mission critical things which have to be really rocket solid, that there we define how we want to interact with the system, how we want to deal with data. And most of you know, of course, all the SAP modules like sales and distribution, material master. Of course, this is all within this strong core SAP ECC, or next few years S4HANA. And on the next outer loop or lane, we'll focus on the MES system, MES CUT, which gives us the capabilities to really focus on production processes, to integrate these special processes from the mill industry into the stable core. So on the MES system, we're talking about the reels, time, scrap, waste registration, and all the things that in the paper mills exist, and we'll translate them through a strong connection, a really strong, tight interface to the SAP languages. So we're talking about mill rolls here, and maybe we're talking about handling units and production orders and so on in the inner core. And of course, on the platform level, we've built some microservices out of, like Marco mentioned, SAP S4, SAP HANA, Azure Cloud, InfluxDB, and so on, which brings us the capabilities and possibilities to be really flexible, to be some kind of agile, to become a better or a more intelligent and maybe even a sustainable company. So let's have a deeper look. It starts within the platform, so it's just the other way around. We're collecting data via the platform, maybe even OPC servers, machines. Just think of paper machines, coating machines, just simple over sensors or maybe machine interfaces, which are just giving us data along the timeline, which sending energy consumption, steam, water consumption, just simple data with timestamps. This is absolutely not coupled or not associated with material master, grades, products, or so on. We're just collecting data within a silo, which is stored on SAP HANA database within the platform. And one lane above, I'm sorry, this was the wrong slide, in the MES CUT system, or production manufacturing execution system, the core of the shop floor, we're collecting data or entering data like which machine produced which mill roll at a certain time, which was with which quality level, and maybe if you see with the stars, if it's a good reel, if it's a bad mill roll or bad reel, maybe some time of waste of quality data. You maybe know it with inspection lots, inspection points, and so on. And of course, also along the timeline. So what we're able now, just with a loose coupling, not a very tight integration, just a loose coupling of these time slides or time slices, we're able to connect these data. So we know when a machine has had some consumption of energy or maybe of steam, we're able to do this transformation to a certain mill reel or a mill roll or something. Don't get me wrong, of course it's not 100% accurate, but it isn't supposed to be. We just want to do short or reports or short queries in the action and maybe in the shift overview and so on. And of course, like we said before, we also have this strongly connection, this direct interface to the ERP system. Of course, we're able to connect these mill rolls to maybe the customer, which is of course the king, and documents, revenues, costs, and so on. So we're able to link these information, this machine data from OPC servers along the MES system or maybe even production control systems with ERP data. And of course, it's working the other way around or vice versa. If I have a sales order, invoice or something, I'm able to connect these information with the machine too, just of simple time slices. And so, of course, if you have this information, I think a typical company would ask themselves, hey, what was wrong with this one, which has only 1 star, compared to this one with 5 stars? What did happen on the machine? So we brought a short application, or just to have what's the root cause of this. So we build an application which is able to compare these parameters from the machine, from the reel, with cost revenue from the ERP system, of course, with grade and variant configuration information and so on. And so we're simple compare these values, this machine data, like it's quality inspection and so on, or quality characteristics, to find a pattern or something, a relation between these 2 reels. Of course, these are 10 values. A person or human is easily able to compare this by hand, so it doesn't matter. But if you're thinking of huge paper machines, coating machines, there are about 100,000, maybe 20,000 parameters which are involved in this process. So no one is able to do this per hand. And what we've not achieved yet, but what we are working on, is that we are able to use this data as input for artificial intelligence, pattern recognition, or maybe machine learning. So it's the ideal input that we want to use. And of course, there are many, many, many other things you could do with this data, but it's just an idea what you can do. Next one, so I'd like to hand over to Jörg, who has already even an application or a use case, what we tried and what we learned about this.
Thank you, Andreas. So now I have the honor to speak about what comes next for us. But first of all, I would like to show you another case we already did and learned something from it. So, oh, this really takes a while. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, so the use case was predicting a quality parameter using a virtual sensor. Maybe some of you have heard about that. So what we actually did there, we have the paper production, and this structure Marco told you already about helped us there a lot. So we are, sorry, that was me, the wrong button. Yes. So we have the paper production here, and we collect quality data as well as sensor data from the machine here, and we put that into our data lake. This is the loose coupling, the platform Marco talked about already. So this helped us a lot to do a quick machine learning case. So we implemented a virtual sensor using state-of-the-art technology, in this case Python libraries. And we even used the Azure cloud for computation power because we needed computation power for that. And we just used the Azure cloud as a infrastructure as a service to train the models there and feed the results back to the production. So the idea or the big advantage is then just think of any quality parameter. Normally you wait until the end of the reel, you take a sample, you bring it to the quality department, they do their tests, and then they can tell you if the paper was good or how good it was. But maybe it's an hour later than the actual production. So with this virtual sensor, we are then able to, in real time, see the quality. But this did not work in this case. And what we learned about it was we had a lack of data from previous processes. And this happened a couple of times. And what we got from there is a stage model we want to work with, which shows the way to Industry 4.0 in 6 stages. But the first 2 stages actually are still Industry 3.0. So this is digitalization, using computers and connect them, yeah? And this connectivity level was our problem. I said we had a lack of data of previous processes. So we started, or we wanted to achieve something here on the 5th stage, like predicting something, yeah? But we didn't fully manage this connectivity layer. So this is a model we are going to work in the future with. And this is not only about the technological part. We want to do a holistic approach. This model works with like 4 areas, like resources, information systems. This is more the technical part. And then we have also culture and organizational structure. Because just imagine this sensor would have worked, but we don't have the culture in the production that people trust this sensor because they are used to values from the quality department, right? So this is something we also have to address, and this is why I'm talking about a more holistic approach there. And something we want to do next is doing or creating the digital shadow of a product. Here we can see a paper reel, and today we have information about this paper reel like dimensions, the weight, quality specification of the reel values, and related online sensor data. And in the future, this could look like a virtual copy or a virtual shadow of this role. And we have, for this particular role, emissions like the carbon footprint, like water consumption. We have a traceability throughout the whole supply chain. We are fully utilizing this asset administration shell there. And this is only the product. You can also do that for the whole process or maybe the whole mill. Yeah? Really enforcing this digital shadow or maybe even a digital twin with feedback back into the reality. And this is something, or this is just one first step on the way to this cyber-physical system, the world where all physical assets are connected with the information we have in our IT systems throughout, in one of the last steps, even throughout the whole supply network, because we're going away from that chain model there. And staying in this picture of stormy waters from the beginning, we said we cannot change anything about how stormy they are, but we can change how we deal with it. And so this, therefore the picture with the surfer, the idea is to maybe even have a little fun surfing these waters, yeah? But at least don't have any problems to overcome it. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yes, big thanks from my side. You really decomposed otherwise complex topic into, you know, a use case that you can really understand and how you did it. I like that. I think the usual issue with time management, because usually our presenters have so much good stories to tell, maybe one question and then they'll be around. Anyone got a question? Okay, if not, then I dare asking one. You said you collect all this data and you use it, but I understood that before using it, usually it has to be cleansed and compressed and all of that. What kind of component does this in your company? So what do you use to?
That's a question to me. It's several. It depends on the type of data. If you have, let's say the parameter from the sensor from the map. There it's just it's not compressed. We get it every sensor gives us data every second. So, and we keep it on that level, so we don't aggregate it to any other data or time level. But what we do is we have services running. For us, it's microservices. They look what data is really in use. So what's the typical data people use, and then it says, okay, this data is frequently used, and the people like it to have it in, you know, in the period of the last 3 months or the last 6 months or something like that. And then there's data no one's caring about. Now, if you think about 15,000 sensor values each second, that's not all of them are relevant, or some of them are just duplicates of none. So yeah, they go out into storage. First, they go on the normal storage on the HANA platform in this case, and after a while we bring it to storage was SQL Server based and add it. For example. I have one question I got yesterday, and that's just one thing I want to tell you a message. We used as platform something with open source products, and we built it on our own. We could do this because we had all the know-how within our IT, right? We got the people who are able to do something and build something out. I think it doesn't matter if you use this or if you're just going to the sub-cloud platform, for example, or you're going to Azure or Google, whatever fits best. The thing is just make another shell around it, couple it loose, don't tie too much to your core, but integrate it on a data level, and you're able to use all services and knowledge you get on the internet. And that's really a huge source you can really, well, you really need it. And if you get used to it, you won't miss it, believe me. All right.
Okay, then thanks for asking. For answering questions of a